Hey man, you ever looking to flatter?
Okay, I put a bunch of these little videos that I put together of the Bayport Beacon Light, approximately 3.5 miles from the location of Pine Island. Um, and I've got multiple ones. Right here is the center. This bird rack has 7 horizontal boards going across it. Right there where the arrow was, you can see that it's mirroring what is, there's a bird sitting there, so it's mirroring the bird underneath. So this mirroring effect, when the mirroring starts out in front of the bird rack, it creates a big illusion, and it actually eats part of the bird rack because you cannot see the lower portion. And the lower portion is usually visible on a much better visibility day. But as I go through these videos, you may see some on a maybe a little bit different angle because I can't always get in my little corner there. Sometimes it's filled with water, especially if it rained or there was a high tide. But this is my normal corner that I get into. And the only thing that really changes there sometimes is they may fill the sand in and the sea level. That's what always changes. Now, I added in a little bit of this kind of just to show where my camera's setting at, and you can see that how hazy the weather conditions are that day. Um, and I went through and I kind of like randomly picked out one video per month. I didn't get too picky because I got so much footage that I just picked the first one I found with the Bayport rack in it, pulled it in, and put it in and loaded in just a little short little clips of it. But I also wanted to make sure that I did some zooming in too, so you could see where I was zooming in from. Now, obviously, in this position, I'm off to the left a little bit of this rack. That's why that sign is off to the right a little bit. But look how more crisp this is. A lot less distortion, but we still have the mirroring effect, mirroring the bottom slats, and it's trying to compress it into its own image there. You can kind of see how that diffraction is pulling down on that one big thick beam at the bottom. Watch how that pulls downward. And this is the thing. They want to tell us it's being pulled up, but when you do these observations and you start doing all these comparisons, you obviously can tell the the better visibility that you get, the more not only more of the rack you can see, it's less distorted, and then also you can also tell that sometimes it's magnified. Same way with some of these boats, sometimes they're magnified. Now, I don't I didn't pick out all the ones where I fully zoomed in on, so don't go by the size of these, but just go by the image itself. You can kind of see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and all the other cross members are just mashed together there. And you'll notice too, as I go through from the cooler months to the warmer months, you get different atmospheric conditions. And I know we all hate to use the word atmospheric, but if you want to get it past the glober, you have to say atmospheric because that's what they understand. Now, here, look at where the mirroring starts here. It starts way, way before the rack. But look at this distortion that I get. And believe me, I try to focus into these the best I can. and sometimes there's just no hope for focus. So again, every day, I mean, I've actually had this rack change so much in just one day alone. These are all different times too. Again, here you can see the 7 slots, but you also see the mirroring start. And it's a low tide. And look how huge those rocks look. They look just gigantic compared to what they really should look like. And these rocks are not that far from the bird rack. Just on the right hand side, if you're in the channel going out to this bird rack, there is a line of rocks just before you get to them, off to the north if you're in the channel. But they don't normally look so damn huge. So I see this as being some magnification. Probably in this particular day, I did have some footage where I actually did zoom all the way in on it. But again, I have so much footage, it's really hard to go through these and pick them out and find everything you need. Now, obviously, you can see I was not in my normal spot. There was people there. Again, here's another one where you have the high light diffraction too, where it's just everything in the background is all hazed out. You cannot not see any water. The mirroring starts before it, and the distortion. You always have these optical effects that are obscuring your vision. It's not allowing you to see the whole object. You can say it's because of the heat distortion. You could say it's because of water distortion. Possibly some kind of magnification lensing effect. But obviously, this is not being refracted over the curvature of Earth. It's not being pulled up whatsoever. Now, on this particular day, I mean, look at these rocks again. They are absolutely huge. And again, look where the water line stops. The visible water line is always changing. And also, when I look at some of these signs when I have a clear visible day, and not only can you see the sign, but it's smaller and the water goes well beyond it. That's when I say there's my great visibility. Although the visibility is fairly good, there's still a big major mirroring effect occurring. This mirroring effect does what I call compresses things, even though it
One,
looks like
two,
it's
three,
stretching it.
four, five,
It's actually compressing it,
6 and 7
pushing
are
it
jammed
downward
all together.
into that mirroring effect. That's why you cannot see the whole entire rack sitting in the actual water like some of them that I will eventually show here. As we get into the cooler months, you'll start seeing that. But look at this light diffraction. This boat is setting in the sunlight where the light is streaming across the water. But look how you can see how that light is diffracting upward and causing part of the bottom of the boat to be hidden in that light. Well, that's the same thing that happens, folks, in in a lot of this stuff. Now that boat looked like it was well beyond the curve, but other days, like I say, when I have great visibility, these boats are entirely on top of the water, and obviously I can track them for a long ways. Now, again, this particular day, my visibility to the rack was fairly good, except you do notice some compression toward the bottom because that bottom board is not that wide. They're all approximately the same size all the way across. And if you go through some of my earlier videos, you can actually find video where I'm actually go to that bird rack, boat around it, and take video of it, and you can see all sides of it. Um, and I'm very familiar with this. I did leave some natural audio in, only because what I say in the natural audio is, kind of, I think, important to the observation. And again, look at how this boat that's farther beyond looks like it's pulled down. But it's also huge compared to other days where I get it and it's perfectly on top of the water. Everything looks smaller, not as magnified and not as pulled down. Like I say, you see water going well beyond this bird rack. Even though, like I say, I keep my camera at this low 28-inch mark. You might hear me say 27, but it is 28 inches. Well, it's not quite 28 inches, but I say 28 inches. And then here's another one. And this is at full zoom. Um, but look how much more, how the distortion is, how you see water going beyond it. But look how squashed it is and flared out it is. Um, that's why I say there's something strange going on in the neighborhood. But it has everything to do with that visibility. Because again, when this is not distorted or it is not being mirrored, you have all these different effects that occur day by day, month by month, hour by hour. You can go out there and film these and constantly get a different change. Um, and part of it is I mean, in my opinion, it is the angle of light that changes things. I've been out early in the morning and got a whole different look compared to later in the evening. Same location, same spot. So again, like I said, I did put some natural audio on, so I'm going to let that play. Um, and anytime I got some natural audio on, you might just hear me stop talking and then you hear the audio.
Okay, here we are at Pine Island again. Really low tide. And I'm not going out there in the mucky water. But what we got is a hazy horizon. And let's see if I can level my camera out here a little bit better than it is, because I'm sitting in some mucky sand here. And there's the Bayport rack coming into view. And it's full zoom. And of course she looks like she's floating in the air, which it's not. You can actually see the complete mirror image from top to bottom. It's a mirroring effect. And again, there's 7 slots on it. See if I can get a little better focus here. Everything you see is just jumbled up in the center there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And after you get past the 4th, 5, 6, and 7 are all just jumbled up there in the center, which it means it is partially compressed.
Now, again, even look at that sign right there, how that reflective mirror image was coming off the water. Again, as I zoom in here, you can obviously see, uh, you know, really the visibility is, again, good right up to the bird rack itself. But then you see this mirroring being stretched out in front of it. And look how the mirror image itself is changing due to the water movement. And that's another thing too that we always got to remember, that when the water is rough out there, the sea is not level. You know, we got waves and swells that are occurring, especially when there's heavy winds and if the tide is rolling out while the wind is blowing in, it creates some nice swells out here that can actually rise up and block out distant objects, just like setting cans. Say you got a bunch of Coke cans and you set them all out in front of you, get eye level with the first one. What's going to happen to all the other ones? They're going to get hidden behind the first one, because they're going to get smaller and smaller as they get farther and farther away. Now, again, here's one of my really good days of visibility. Yes, there was distortion, but I had great visibility to where not only could you see the entire rack sitting in the water, but you could see the birds sitting on there, and the birds that were out there sitting on the water out by the bird rack. Or they could be sitting on the peaks of the rocks too that are out there that, like I said, look like mountains on other videos. These optical effects do um, really mess with your mind in a sense. Now I'm gonna do something that um, might make people understand a little bit more. I don't know. Okay, the pink arrow and the yellow arrow. The pink arrow's pointing at the more of the visible hard water line, while the other arrow is pointing at the diffracted light. So anything that gets up in that diffracted light zone will be just like that one boat where I was showing you that was sitting in the beam of light. How that light refraction or diffraction, um, I think it could be refraction, is actually what's hiding the bottom lower portion of the boat. Again, these are my observations, my opinions of them. Um, now, some people can disagree. That's fine. But when I watch these birds and I look at the signs and I look at the boats, the size of the people, the size of the boats, the size of the signs, and even the size of the birds, it all starts telling a big story of what is reality and what is false. Now, I don't know if um, people will look at this and really quite understand the difference between visibility, distortion, magnification, light diffraction. All of this right here, this light diffraction. When a boat is in there, you can hardly see it, or you might not be able to see it at all. But as you notice here, this boat coming out is obviously a boat in the water, but look at the lower portion of it being blocked out. But is it being blocked out by curvature? Well, it can't be, because that water does extend farther past there. Even though this is diffracted light, um, uh, light diffracting off the water, that light diffracting off the water is still blocking out more visible water that's farther back there. Just imagine if I had the most perfect day of visibility, what I would actually see. And this is the thing, most of the time, I live in Florida. I don't get the luxury of having these beautiful, clear, crisp days, on a lake where I got, wind blockage and everything, and the lake's smooth as glass, or, even has a little bit. But I got to deal with all different kinds of weather conditions, hot, humidity, this mirroring, uh, this heavy water sometimes, flat, still water other times. But here too, you can look at these clouds in the background and see how, um, if you divide this picture up a little bit, if you think about a divided picture, and you take what's in the sky and you look at that as being magnified and being pulled down into this mirror, because again, when you magnify something, right, it magnifies all the way around the object, not just one portion of it. It don't just magnify one side of it or magnify the other side or the bottom. It magnifies all the way around at 360 degrees around the object. So in turn, this is going to cause, um, okay, what's on the bottom portion is going to also kind of rise up, be raised up. And what's being raised up here is a mirror, a mirroring effect. So it's actually like, again, I've mentioned this before, it's like putting a mirror on a slight angle upward. And this mirror continues to extend and extend. So that's why you get this dragging smearing of the clouds beyond it. So there's quite a bit of this that's being mirrored if you just start doing these small comparisons. And that's why I wanted to just pick out one bird rack, but I have plans to do other ones.
So, frozen.
Now again, you know, I'm persistent. I always like going to that same little spot in the corner. As long as there's people not in my way and I can get there, that's where I like to go. But I also like to go underneath there too, down to sea level at times, especially on these low tides. But obviously here again, you can count these slats and you can actually see where this compression is going on with these two boards that are trying to mash together. Something that you need to add to the equation.
Full zoom.
Now look at this, and then you look at those rocks. Yeah, the tide might not be as low, but they don't look like they're huge, standing way up out of the water. The bird rack itself is magnified, so is the boat. That's why everything does look like it's pulled in. Um, but you can see too where the water line begins, everything beyond it hazed out and within that mirroring zone. Again, everything is in that mirroring zone, and it just totally blinds you from seeing past that uh, bright light. It's just like a fog bank rolling in and hiding everything beyond it. Now, as my months change and I get, later and later into the cooler months in Florida, quite obviously you start seeing these changes where you can see the bird rack completely in the water with water extending beyond it. Again, less mirroring, little less magnification, but still a little bit of distortion. Um, you know, that mirroring again, it mirrors everything beyond. Now here again was another interesting day. You can see all 7 horizontal boards, slats, whatever you want to call them, quite clearly, except for like number 6. It's kind of distorted, but you can still see it, and you can see how kind of this wavy look. Well, that could be considered heat distortion, or even light distortion, light gleaming off an object or gleaming off the water, creating this wavy look in the air. I mean, we've all seen it on over roads or on top of a car. If you look over the top of a car on a hot day, you see this wavy appearance. But also look where you can see the water line being extended further out. And I'll tell you, if the light was a little bit different, you could probably read what would be on this sign. I know some of my videos I do have, you can fairly make out what this sign says. Um, so, I know visibility, clarity, all has an effect on our visibility. And these all do some obscuring. It doesn't make objects rise up. It doesn't make things magically pop up over the backside of a ball. If anything, it pulls things down into its mirroring effect, or it makes it appear to be being pulled down. Now, I do, and I think that displacement occurs, but it's always being displaced down. And if you are filming when the object is placed down, like Skunk Bay, um, you can watch it like rise up and then compress down, rise up, compress down, rise up, compress down. But you'll know when it's nice and crisp where when you have that great visibility. So that Skunk Bay video was a really good video because it showed these um, optical effects occurring on a major basis. Now, I still contend that the eye level for me would be above this rack due to perspective, and I should see water above the rack. Um, and that measurement could have been done on a day where the rack was being magnified. So I could be off a little bit, But as far as I'm concerned, I think it's above that rack because I've gotten boats way up. Uh,
Are you shooting over the horizon again?
Yeah, beyond it. Fixing to find that rack that's 11 miles out.
What did you see?
So there's a bird rack out there that's 11.22 miles out. I'm going to find it. There's that boat.
Again, here's another view of the Bayport bird rack. Again, we get so many different um, views of this thing, different sizes. I mean, you can compare them. A lot of times, yes, they are approximately the same size. But I still say that on some of the days that I've gotten where it is very crisp, very clear, um, that is usually some of the most magnified times because the bird rack is much bigger, but my visibility to the bird rack is perfect. Where the mirroring effect, if it starts, like I say, if it starts at the bottom of the bird rack, everything beyond it is hidden. If it starts in front of it, everything beyond it is mirrored out, and the Raleigh criterion effect will take place. People, I heard a question about why none of us flat earthers can answer why the sun vanishes. Well, if you have two parallel lines converging, can you see past the convergence? No, you cannot. You cannot see past the convergence. So there's your answer to that with just a simple, plain, um, you know, explanation.
That's full zoom. Can't get no fuller. And oh, trying to focus it, folks. You just can't focus on it, people.
Okay, for my 15-minute video that turned out to be a half an hour, this is the last part of it. This is at the beginning of the year this year. Obviously, you can see that I'm not quite in focus, but I'll get in a little better focus here. Um, but you can obviously see that the rack is being a little bit more compressed. Um, again, you got water that's going beyond it. Everything past that visible water line is being mirrored from the light diffracting off of the actual water that is there. Um, that's again, I want to let people be the judge for themselves on what my observations show. And this will stand out more when I do the farther distant racks, this dragging down and hiding, obscuring, and the mirroring effect. It's all going to play a role, especially when I do like Cutter's Rock or Billy Steele's uh, beacon light. All of these effects affect everything: buildings, boats, birds, racks, any object that's out there is going to have an effect on. So again, I hope some people got something out of this, especially ones that are questioning it, because that's really who we want to get to start opening their eyes. All right. Okay. I also want to do a little apology to a bunch of my subscribers. I know I've been in a really, really bad negative mood for, oh, maybe a year, year and a half now. And I got to say that I let things get to me that I shouldn't have, and now I found this new prescription that one really very intelligent lady suggested for me to use, and I'm gonna let her explain it here a little bit.
Are you tired of people complaining about literally everything every day? Do you find yourself overly annoyed by the actions of others? Then you need fuck 'em all. When prescribed by your doctor, fuck 'em all can significantly reduce your ability to give a fuck. Tired of Karens not minding their business? People complaining about masks got you down? Fuck 'em all. Fuck 'em all has been tested and proven to help you not give a fuck.
I used to give a fuck, but now that I've tried fuck 'em all, I don't give a fuck at all.
If you continue to give a fuck after taking fuck 'em all, please consult with your physician. Side effects may include insensitivity, lack of care, and an extreme case of mind your damn business.
I don't know who to give the credit to for this, but I got it from the Dollar Vigilante channel. I think he put the link in there, but I can't find it. So if somebody wants to go check it out, they can. And ever since I've been taking this, I've been feeling much better.